Welcome to today's meditation time. It is an honor to get to spend just a few minutes with each of you individually and collectively. And I hope that you are in a space where you can maybe separate from the noise of home or from the busyness of the day for just a few minutes. And so I would invite you just to get comfortable where you are. You can sit, you can lie down, you can do whatever helps your physical self be comfortable. We're trying to find the present moment. We're trying to find awareness. And we do not need the body to distract us by being restless or uncomfortable. So just find a space that feels good for you. And then when you do, find a rhythm of breath that feels good as well. Just trying to find a deep inhale and a deep exhale at whatever pace feels right for you in this moment. And then as you're doing that, I would invite you just to go ahead and close your eyes. And just continue to breathe, settling in, separating just a little bit from the busyness of the day, separating just a little bit from any burdens or worries that you are carrying right now, so that you can just spend these few minutes catching this glimpse of how amazing the present moment is. And we know that as we show up to our meditation practice, eventually some of these things become our everyday practices. We find ourselves pausing in the middle of a busy workday and coming back to the present moment. We find ourselves pausing in the middle of a contentious encounter with someone, and we find ourselves stopping to breathe. So the things that we practice here together begin to really inform our everyday lives. So let's just take a few breaths together before we begin. So a nice, long, slow breath in, and gently let it go. And a nice, slow, long breath in, and gently let it go. And one more like that, a slow breath in, and let it go. And then you just continue the rhythm as it works for you. And our topic for these minutes today is imperfection. That is a topic that is relatable to every single one of us, because we look around the world and oftentimes our eyes go first to what's not quite right, to those pieces that are imperfect. Even though the logical side of us tells us there's no such thing really as perfection, but we have these images in our head of how things should look, or how a relationship should be, or how a situation at work should go. And when it doesn't go according to our standard of perfection, we are frustrated, we're disillusioned and disappointed. But as you just continue where you are with your eyes gently closed and your breath calming your physical body, I want you to listen to these words. And then we're going to use these words to frame our idea about imperfection instead of perfection. It's a quote that says, "People are just as wonderful as sunrises and sunsets if you'll let them be." When I look at a sunset, I don't find myself saying, "I wish you'd soften the orange a bit on the right-hand corner." I don't try to control the sunset. I just watch with awe as it unfolds. And for those of us who live in Texas, we get it. We have this big old sky, and the sunrises and the sunsets are just magical. And I would venture to say that we never look up and wish it was a little more pink or a little less bright. We snap pictures of it on our phone. We post pictures of it. We just stand in awe. What if we could look upon ourselves and upon the people in our lives the same way? And so I want to visit this idea of imperfection in 3 different spots. First, how we see ourselves physically, and then how we see ourselves emotionally. And then I want to turn that to the most important relationship in each of our lives. And how do we see that person? And so I would invite you, as we are here together, just have an open mind, as big as the Texas sky, just willing to see things differently, to reframe just a bit. Because we all know that when we hold to these ideas of this perfection that we've conjured up in our heads, oftentimes we are disappointed. So why don't we set ourselves up to be in awe instead? And so each of us, and I'm going to do it for myself as well, each of us, I'd like you to think of one thing about your physical self that you've been critical of. It could be your physical shape. It could be a limitation that you feel like you have. It could be that one little spot on your cheek, those wrinkles, those freckles. It could be the fact that you wish you were taller or shorter or thicker or thinner, or that there's a lot of gray hair. But we all have them, and please don't make a list. Just think of one area of your physical self that you've been critical of, maybe even today. And as you think of that part of you, let's just imagine that we can look on that part of us the way we look on a sunrise and be amazed. Be amazed of the life that exists within us. That all of these systems work together where we breathe and our heart beats and our blood flows and we feel. But instead, we're so hard on ourselves. So what if we reframed it? We reframed it in a way that we see ourselves as incredible as a sunrise or a sunset. I know that's the hardest one to start with, because we look in the mirror every day and we judge and we wish for something different. So in this moment right here, let's just take a slow breath in, and as you breathe in, see the sunrise. And as you breathe out, let go of the judgment of whatever that part of you is that came to mind. And then breathe in again and see the sunset. And once again, as you breathe out, let go of the judgment. Let's stop being so hard on ourselves and look on ourselves with awe, because we deserve it. So let's take this idea of imperfection to a couple more places in our lives, into the emotional part of us, our personalities, how we respond, how we act, how we feel, those little quirky things that make us us. And there are parts of that part of us that we're also critical of. We wish we were a little more patient. We wish we were a little more compassionate. We wish that we were a little more tolerant or thoughtful in our speech, or that we didn't cry so easily because our heart just feels everything. Or maybe we wish that we would cry more because we've closed ourselves off. Whatever your thing is, think of it right now. What part of your emotional being are you hard on? What part of yourself inside do you look on with judgment and criticism? And then let's do the same thing. Instead of worrying about that one thing and how we want to change it, let's look upon it with awe, as it is a reminder that as our heart beats, we feel. We have emotions. We have the capacity to love. We have the capacity to share and to give. And those capacities exist in the same space where that one little thing is that we're so critical of. So let's breathe in together and see the sunrise. And breathe out and let go of how hard you are on yourself. And breathe in and see the sunset. And breathe out and let go of the judgment. And then finally, let's turn our focus outward. And I want you to think of the person that is most important to you. For some, it is a significant other. Some, it is a dear, dear friend or a sister or a parent. But think of who is your person. And what we often find is that whoever our person is, they're the ones we're the hardest on. We hold them to a higher standard than we would ever hold to a stranger. So just think, whether you've said it to them or not, what about that person have you been critical of lately? Wishing they would or wishing they wouldn't? We always think, if I could just tweak this little thing, life would be so easy and so good. But what would life be like if we learn to love and accept and look on them with awe? So instead of seeing the sunrise and the sunset for these couple breaths, I want you to see their face. See the face that you love. And for some of them, you picked them. And some of them, they were your family and you're related to them, but still you choose that they're your person. And as you see their face, breathe in love and acceptance. And breathe out judgment. And breathe in grace and patience for them. And breathe out criticism. And then what I'd like us to do is just kind of sit for the next couple of minutes in quiet. Just kind of thinking in this present moment about what the lessons imperfection can teach us. The lessons are big. Some of them are raw, and we really feel them deep in our core. But y'all, that's where change happens, deep in our core. So let's sit together, reframing how we see imperfection about our physical selves, our emotional selves, and that one person who means the most to us. If your mind tries to wander, just let the thoughts just go and you come back here, focused on those three things here in this present moment. And just breathe. Just continue to sit or lie there with your eyes closed, continuing to breathe. But bring your awareness back to the space that we're sharing together. Imperfection. It touches all of our lives. We've all been there. We've all judged and been critical. But this moment, right here, is a new moment. And what we've done in the past, even 10 minutes ago, is done. Let's reframe how we look upon ourselves and how we look upon others from this moment going forward. and see how it changes your perspective. See how it allows you to love yourself a little more unconditionally. See how it brings you to a place where you are comfortable in your own skin. And then see what it does to that relationship. People are just as wonderful as sunrises and sunsets, if we'll let them be. Stop trying to change the colors and the edges and the brightness. Just look upon yourself and your person with the awe that you and they deserve. Namaste.